Barbara and Mike Lepke. They are the parents of 3 kids. 2 of them had vaccine injuries. One of them had what's considered a simple vaccine injury, but I'm not so sure that that's really what it is, because the CDC actually says we know that syncope is a common injury, that teenagers tend to experience it more. Syncope is fainting. We know that it is that it's experienced after vaccines, but we haven't studied it, and we hope to soon. That's what I got from the CDC website.
Right. Right, let's go back. Tell us about your children, what they were like before the vaccine, and what happened, what vaccine it was, and what happened.
With this one, it was our son, who's now 23, and it happened when he was around 15. He had the Menactra. He was at the doctor with his sister. He had his shot first.
And what shot was that?
The Menactra shot. It is the meningitis with tetanus.
That's a nice combination.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that. I thought he had the meningitis shot. That's what they said. You need to get it at this age. The school wanted him to have it. And so we got them. We didn't know that vaccines could injure at that time. And he is a very tough guy, does extreme snowboarding, extreme skateboarding, things like that. He had his shot. His sister got hers. She has a tendency to pass out from just looking at a needle. But she was fine.
What age was she when she had
She was 14.
So she was 14, he was 15. They had them at the same time?
They got it at the same time. And they have you wait to see if you have an anaphylactic shock every time afterwards. He passed out. He just was sitting there about 10 minutes later and just passed out. The nurses came in, they said, they laughed about it. They said it was he must be afraid of the needle. That's what it was. And at the time I was thinking, well, that's really odd, because his sister would be the one that would be afraid of a needle, not him. And so we just didn't think anything about it, and he seemed to be okay.
They said that it was normal too, that all this happens.
Oh, this happens.
Not a big deal.
So the side effects were just normal side effects of the vaccines, what they were saying?
To that one, yeah. And I'm not even sure if they knew at that time that syncope was a side effect. I think they really believed he just had a fear of the needle. But it happened 10 minutes after the shot, so that just didn't really fly with me. So that's what happened with him. Going back, our oldest son, who is now 25, our kids are really close in age. We have one who's 25, 23, and 22. So they were all little at the same time. We didn't know there were any problems with vaccines. We just got them. Like, we got them when we were kids, although we didn't have very many. I looked back, I had 4 total. Until I was 18. I did have the measles, I had the mumps, I had the chicken pox, I had rubella, I had whooping cough, and I was just fine, and I lived.
Yeah.
And Mike you had all those too, right?
Too,
About the same. So we got the vaccines. We didn't think they were an issue. Our oldest son, was very precocious. At 2 years old, he had a vocabulary of over 200 words. At 4 years old, he was doing science experiments. As a matter of fact, he broke the sliding glass door because he said he miscalculated the trajectory
of the rock he threw.
The object that
What age was that?
he sent. That was at 4.
Wow.
Normal, a little on the genius side, he was very, very smart. And then he started elementary school, and things started happening, and his behavior was just crazy. He'd bang his head on the wall, and he would, in the movie we watched, Billy get so angry, and so angry, and then reach over and twist John's arm.
Yeah.
That was a flashback for us. It's like, that was Glenn. We've seen that behavior. And we complain about his brain being mushy. and all of his emotions just became extreme.
Very extreme. He would look at us, and we couldn't get him to look at us in the eye, and he would cry, and he'd say, "I just want to die." He's a 5-year-old saying he wanted to die. And so I started looking. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have really anything. I went to the bookstore. I went to the library. I went to the medical library here. I searched everything I could and came upon food allergies. So I looked at food allergies. I went to his pediatrician. No, allergies don't affect behavior. So I went to a different doctor. We traveled to Los Alamos, where there was an alternative doctor who had actually written a book about a food elimination diet. And we got information from her. We did a food elimination diet, and we ended up taking dairy and gluten out of his diet, the very typical foods that you take out. And we did a lot of green drinks to cleanse the system, and we, by the grace of God, healed our son for the most part. He struggled. It was really hard. He remembers it. He remembers being able to read and then not being able to read. He remembers. I asked him this morning to remind me what he remembered from it, and he said, "I remember my brain being mushy and slushy, and I couldn't think, and I remember banging my head to make it feel better." And so now he is, he does have a speech issue if he has too much wheat, and he has graduated college, and he's married, and he's got a baby on the way, and
Wow.
It looks like they're not going to vaccinate.
Well, that's a relief.
Yes.
So we didn't know about vaccine injuries. I have taken care of a little girl that kind of is our little adopted granddaughter, sort of, and I had taken care of her, and she got her 1-year shots, and then I took care of her the next day, and she was sick. She wasn't sick before the shot. She got sick that night. She had seizures, massive seizures, ended up in the NICU for 5 days. There's no explanation for what happened other than
105 fever.
vaccines at the start, but
We
then they
should send
said that
that
the seizure was not connected to the fever.
We should send a DVD of Vaxxed
Yes.
to them.
Yes.
Yes. And so what happened is, after that happened, and I'm a paralegal, so I get notice of lawsuits and things through my email subscription, and I had gotten the information about the CDC whistleblower, and I thought it was a huge deal. But then I'm like, Dale, nothing happened. It was crazy. It was really crazy. I had also seen the information come through about the other lawsuit on the MMR from the scientists from within that said they were told to add rabbit antibodies to the mumps vaccine in order to make it more effective. And so I saw these things come together with the seizures, and I started researching every single day. And I got medical records, and sure enough, all of our son's issues started right after that shot, that second MMR, when he was 5. But nobody ever connected it to it.